One of the big expectations is a possible wealth tax. How do you see that going over?
Look, we only think this is a budget. This thing is actually a bear trap. That's what they're going to try to spring today, the Liberals. And, I watched the report and people talking about the fact that they're going to have to raise taxes as a means of ensuring they meet and stay within their fiscal guardrails. But I really think actually they want to raise taxes on the wealthiest. I think they want to raise them on the wealthy of the wealthy. I think they want to go after the grocery magnates, the Galen Westons. And they want to do that. And the reason I call it a bear trap is they're trying to tempt the Conservatives into a fight about this. The Liberals believe that if they can get the Conservatives into an argument about taxing the richest of the rich, it's an argument that they will win. They think it's a sucker bet. And so they are thinking about this not just in terms of the revenue it generates for the Treasury, but in terms of the political payoff it'll provide them at the polls.
Now, at the end of the day, do you see this budget improving Liberal poll numbers?
It's hard to say, to be honest with you, because the big question, Renee, we want to be honest, is, does any of this matter? Is any of this punching through? Have people tuned out on anything that starts with Prime Minister Trudeau today said? And that is the big unknown political question. Certainly for the Liberals, I would say that they have shown more energy, more strategy, more discipline and focus around this budget and its rollout than any other, I think, since Mr. Trudeau became Prime Minister. So if, effort is anything, they'll get an A. But effort isn't always rewarded in politics, and they're coming out of a pretty deep deficit. If I was going to guess, I would say they'll get a little bit of a bump out of this, but it's really difficult to gauge because I do think there is a deep sense of cynicism and time for a change rattling around in the mind of the Canadian electorate.
Now, Pierre Poilievre has enjoyed a solid double-digit lead over the Liberals since August. What has he said ahead of today? And do you see today's budget helping or hurting that lead?
Well, that's the whole question about the bear trap. I mean, what has Pierre Poilievre had to say? He's had the following to say. He says three things: carbon tax, carbon tax, carbon tax. They're going to hit him today and try to tempt him into this argument about whether or not, the top 0.25% of the population ought to be paying a little bit more, whether that creates a bit of fairness so that, we can reward those that are lower down the income scale. He's just going to say carbon tax. He's going to say, look, rather than adding taxes, you should be lifting taxes, you should be cutting taxes, and you should start with killing the carbon tax. That is where his political mojo has been created. That is where his momentum has been spurred, and he's going to stick to that message. So that would be my guess. The Liberals are going to talk about the budget. They're going to talk about housing. They're going to talk about taxing the rich. And you're going to hear Pierre Poilievre talk about carbon tax just as fast as he can get the phrase across his lips.
All right. CTV's Scott Reid, a political commentator and former speechwriter for Liberal Prime Minister Paul Martin. Good to see you as always. Thanks for being here.